Good morning, everybody. We are ready to start. I know our staff is working on making copies of the presentations that we're going to hear today. I am in just a minute going to turn it over to our budget chair, Berkeley Allen, to preside over this meeting. I wanted to thank Kelly Flannery, our finance director, and her staff for being up here to do this and to allow everyone to go over or see an overview of the mayor's proposed budget for fiscal year 2023. And I think, Ms. Flannery, you're also going to be doing a financial update of Metro as well. With that, I believe we have a hard stop at 11:30, so we're going to get onto it. I'm going to turn this again over to our budget director, or not our budget director, our budget chair, Councilmember Berkeley Allen. It's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I do want to remind council members that our department budget hearings will begin on May 18th, so make sure you got that date on your calendar and plan to be here if you can. And also to let the public know that the public hearing on the budget will be June 7th. So those are two important dates to have on your calendar. With that, I thank the finance team for being here, and I'm going to turn it over to Director Flannery.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor Schulman, Budget and Finance Chair Allen, Vice Chair Suara, and members of council. I'm pleased to be here to present an update of the Metro's financial condition and an overview of the fiscal year 2023 recommended budget. Joining me today from the Mayor's office are Chief Operating Officer Kristen Wilson, Director of Performance Management Diego Iguiarte, who will highlight the Mayor's proposed investments and initiatives. Additionally, an important component of our long-term plan is to build an even more sustainable and inclusive budget. This year, we've implemented a comprehensive budget equity tool that has driven our decision-making process. Joining me today to discuss that process is Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer Andrea Blackman. I'm going to do two things at once. An important component in maintaining financial stability is reflecting on financial decisions. Before we get into the 2023 budget, I think it's important to take a look back. The work this council has achieved in just 2 short years during several unprecedented events, tornado, pandemic, bombing, any one of these events had the potential to cripple government operations, and this body persevered and thrived. In November 2019, the state comptroller presented his concerns on Metro's finances. Metro had minimal cash and reserves, was relying on non-recurring revenues to balance the budget, and the comptroller rejected the proposed fiscal year 2020 budget. In June 2020, Council made the hard decision to increase property taxes, a decision that allowed Metro to produce a balanced budget, not reliant on one-time revenue sources, and to be on a path to adequate fund balances. In May 2021, Council passed legislation to address Metro's OPEB liability. It's estimated that by offering eligible pensioners a group Medicare Advantage plan, the OPEB liability could be reduced by over $1 billion. And last June, approved a budget with a nearly $1 reduction in the property tax rate while still delivering on the key initiatives of effective government, livable and sustainable neighborhoods, safety and justice, transportation, and education. Today, I'm pleased to share that Metro does not expect to need to secure external partners to fund our tax anticipation notes. The operating fund balance has increased, and we are presenting a balanced budget that does not rely on non-recurring revenues. But we are not done. There is still work to do. This council remodeled Metro's fiscal house, and the next step is to protect the house, to weather strip it, to make sure it doesn't decay again. And that can be achieved through financial policies. Financial policies provide the guardrails to give stability and continuity. Over the last several months, we have been inventorying and reviewing existing policies. Through the MEBB Investment Committee, we have updated the investment policy. We're currently modernizing the debt management policy and expect to bring that back to council later this summer. These are the easier, more technical policies to update. There's other policies that require more thought and council consideration. For example, the operating fund's fund balance policy. It's currently at 5%, and spoiler alert, that is not enough. It never has been enough. As we begin to rebuild our reserves, we need to think about the appropriate level, the condition under which it can be utilized, plans for replenishment, and for the first time, to think about fund balance through a diversity, equity, and inclusion lens. Additionally, we're taking a look at our key debt ratios. For several years, Council has relied on the 12 to 15% debt service to operating revenue metric. Is that the best metric? Are there other metrics we should be considering? These are the updates that are ongoing, and I look forward to getting your thoughts and recommendations on as we make this a priority over the next several months. It's important for Council to be familiar with Metro's current financial condition when making choices about the resources and goals of the organization. A financially sustainable government provides valuable services to residents within its means while proactively taking measures to build and preserve its ability to provide services in the long run. There is no single measure that fully captures Metro's financial condition, but key considerations include the annual financial audit, fund balance levels, bond ratings, a structurally balanced budget, and environmental and financial trends. The financial report is performed annually and is typically available in December of each year and presents Metro's net position. Since its inception, Metro has received an unmodified clean opinion on its annual financial audit and the Government Finance Officers Association, or the GFOA, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. When investors review the credit quality of Metro to determine if they want to buy our bonds and rating agencies rate our credit quality, this is the certificate they look for. The fiscal year 2021 audit did not have any audit findings, internal control weaknesses, or significant deficiencies. Another measure of financial condition is fund balance. Fund balance is calculated annually as part of the financial report and describes the net position of various funds and serves as the measure of the financial resources available to Metro in case of emergency. Best practice per the GFOA and the State Comptroller's suggestion is that fund balance should only be used for extreme one-time situations and to address immediate need, and is not meant to be a source of recurring revenue in the operating budget. The operating fund's fund balance as of fiscal year ending 2021 is $379 million, an over 300% increase over fiscal year 2020. The next calculation will be available in December of 2022 once all of the revenues and expenditures have been received, accounted, and audited for. The GFOA recommends operating fund balance be not less than 2 months of operating revenues. We are in much better shape, but we have more work to do. To accommodate the recommended standard, we need an additional $56.3 million in reserves and $261 million to get to 3 months reserves. As we continue to live in an unknown economic picture and with a robust capital improvement plan in the pipeline, it is imperative we remain vigilant in our preservation of operating and debt service fund balance reserves and continue on the path to achieve appropriate levels. Ratings reflect the creditworthiness of Metro to repay its debt and are a tool that investors use to determine if they want to buy our debt and at what cost. Think of ratings, credit ratings similar to your own credit score. The better your score, your rating, the lower your interest rate or cost of borrowing. At AA2, Metro is rated the third highest long-term credit rating available and has enjoyed consistent ratings from both Moody's and S&P over the decade. S&P did revise Metro's outlook to negative in May 2020 due to concerns surrounding tourism revenues, but quickly revised back to stable in November 2020. And Metro is in the middle of the pack when compared to its peer cities. Given continued conservative budgeting practices, strong revenue performance, and enhanced property tax collections, Metro's ratings are expected to remain stable over the near term. It's important to have a good understanding of how Metro's fiscal policies align with rating agency expectations to ensure assignment of the best credit ratings. While Moody's and S&P use different standards for rating Metro, they've identified similar strengths and challenges. Both highlight the strong and diverse economy of the state and region, Metro's strong management, and the recent property tax increase as credit positives. On the challenges side, both express concern about the reserve and cash levels, and the OPEB liability is noted as a challenge. As I just discussed, fund balance reserves are increasing, and a reduction in the OPEB liability is expected to be reflected in the financial report produced later this year. Metro's debt levels are elevated but manageable. Moody's also notes the elimination or significant reduction in Metro's annual subsidy to Metro General Hospital Authority could lead to an upgrade of the rating. Nashville's economy continues to build momentum in 2022. In April 2020, unemployment in Nashville reached 15.9% and has steadily declined since, bringing employment levels essentially back to pre-pandemic. Among the top 50 largest metro areas, only 8 other metros have a lower jobless claim. The metro area's information, finance, and professional and business service industries have all seen payrolls surpass pre-pandemic levels. Metro's income and housing values also reflect the long-term strengths of the economy. As the economy has grown and diversified, the median family income and per capita income have remained above state averages. Earlier this month, the U.S. government released another favorable jobs report, signaling that the economy continues to grow at a healthy pace, while the unemployment rate is near a record low and housing permits remain robust. On the negative side, most analysts expect the Fed to raise rates quickly to keep price pressures under control. Economists are estimating the probability of a recession next year at 40%. The war in the Ukraine, uncertainty of the future outbreaks and inflation are all having negative impact on markets. As finance director, the impact on the Treasury and Mmd rates, which are the benchmarks that bond interest rates are set off, is extremely concerning. We've seen the 20-year rate increase of over 100 basis points, or 1 full percent, just in the last month. That means if we had issued $100 million in bonds today, it would cost us almost $15 million more over the life of the bonds than if we had issued those same bonds back in February. That would be $15 million required to pay interest costs instead of funding critical capital needs. In short, people are working and the metro economy is alive, but while people are spending more, things are costing more. And as we see revenues grow, we're also seeing expenses grow. The remaining sections will discuss Metro's fiscal year 22 year-end estimates and 23 revenue and expense projections. These projections are based on historical revenue expenditure data, current economic trends and conditions, and other known factors that are anticipated to have an impact on Metro's finances. When developing the forecasts, we consider current and historical revenue, as well as events and actions that could cause revenues to positively or negatively deviate from trends. We also examine economic forecasts produced by industry experts, federal agencies, and other entities. Throughout the year, we work with a team of economists at the University of Tennessee Boyd Center for Business and Economic Research with expertise in the state and region to refine projections. When it comes to revenue forecasting, the Boyd Center has long been recognized for providing conservative estimates that minimize the probability of unfortunate surprises. For expenditures, we develop historic growth assumptions and make necessary adjustments based on input from departments and other known expense changes. So go back in your lives to April 2021. I wasn't here, but I'm sure you survived. In April 2021, vaccines were just being made available to all of the nation's population. We were still under a public health order. The third stimulus checks were being distributed. ARPA funds began disbursement, and the future of the pandemic and additional waves were unknown. By April 2021, the local option sales tax had already fallen 25%, and alcohol beverage receipts and hotel occupancy rates fell by nearly 70% the following month. Metro was building a budget revenue forecast in an uncertain environment and was rightfully conservative. Metro's financial recovery came fast and furious, and as a result, fiscal year 2022 revenue performance has been stronger than projected. The combination of pent-up demand for goods and travel and higher prices have contributed to strong sales tax growth during the fiscal year. Local option sales taxes have performed well in the first half of the year, and hotel-motel taxes have seen a marked recovery and are expected to outperform budget. The property tax growth is high relative to recent history, but is generally consistent with the history in years following reappraisals. Metro has realized revenue growth in its tax-supported funds over the 10-year period of over 62%. In fiscal year 2020, which covered July 1, 2019 through June 2020, during the height of the pandemic, Metro experienced growth of just 0.2%, but quickly rebounded in fiscal year 2021, seeing revenue growth of almost 20%, and is projecting to end fiscal year 2022 tax-supported revenue growth at 6.1% over fiscal year 2021 due to its strong performance in several revenue areas. What's happening? Oh, okay. One of the most impactful revenues where revenue growth is being realized is in the local option sales tax. Excluding fiscal year 2017, average growth from fiscal years 15 through 19 was 8%. Prior to COVID in fiscal year 2020, growth was on that same pace, but ultimately ended at negative growth of 1.4%, or $38 million below the revised pre-COVID estimate. In fiscal year 2021, growth returned to 8.5%, in line with the exceptional growth Metro experienced pre-pandemic, made possible in large part to the record-breaking federal stimulus initiatives. Fiscal year 2022 projected growth of almost 20% essentially represents sales tax recovering nearly 98% of pre-pandemic forecasted collections. The impact of the pandemic is best represented on this chart. You can see the more economically sensitive revenues, such as hotel occupancy, alcoholic beverage, and wholesale beer revenues, saw limited to negative growth in fiscal year 2020. Specifically, hotel taxes fell roughly 75%, as was the case with many of Metro's primary revenues, stayed down throughout fiscal 2021 and beyond the timing for the fiscal year 22 budget development cycle. While revenues are expected to end fiscal year 22 above projections, numerous factors can have an impact, and these estimates may continue to change as the fiscal year progresses and revenues are reseeded. This is expected to continue as we contemplate the 23 budget. The recommended budget submitted to Council today is again amid ongoing economic uncertainty. The 2023 budget is made up of difficult choices as we try to assess the impact of these uncertainties. Creating a budget under these circumstances presents us with enormous challenges, and we're using this moment as an opportunity to maintain our conservative revenue projection approach and further our work in creating long-term structural solutions needed to make our government responsive to our communities and businesses in a holistic and inclusive way. As we created the recommended budget, we contemplated the unprecedented inflation, uncertainty created by the ongoing pandemic, the threat of a recession, and tourism's reliance on discretionary income, given its place as one of Metro's critical economic engines. Additionally, we considered the increased cost of debt service due to rising interest rates, interest costs of commodities and services, initiatives that were not fully funded in previous budgets, and their impact on expenses. The 2023 recommended budget for all funds is $4.996 billion. This represents a $634 million or 14.5% increase from the 22 council adopted budget of $4.361 billion. The 6 funds that comprise Metro's tax-supported funds are the GSD, General and Debt Service Funds, USD, General and Debt Service Funds, and Schools, General and Debt Service Funds. These 6 funds provide the basic operations and services such as public safety, health and transportation to Metro residents. The recommended fiscal year 2023 budget for the tax-supported funds is $2.966 billion, a 12.1% increase over fiscal year 22, or $319.6 million in new revenue. This recommended budget is structurally balanced, does not include a property tax increase, and does not utilize stimulus funds or non-recurring revenues. Metro's growing revenue budget is a testament to the resilience of Nashville's economy. For 2023, Metro forecasts $2.96 billion in tax-supported funds revenue from a variety of sources. Over 54% of revenue originates from one of our most stable sources, property taxes. The local option sales tax is expected to provide almost 20%, with grants, fines, fees, and other revenue providing the remaining 25%. As previously discussed, revenues are expected to exceed budget projections in fiscal year 22. While the increase between year-over-year budget projections appears large, we are actually anticipating more modest growth in 2023 from what we expect fiscal year 22 actuals will be. The conservative revenue approach Metro has utilized over the recent past has served us well, and it is the model that we are repeating for fiscal year 2023. We are assuming stability, but monitoring changing economic conditions. Just this week, it was reported the U.S. economy contracted for the first quarter of 2022, falling 1.4% from a year earlier. This is the first decline in GDP since the spring of 2020. The projected revenue growth is an estimated $319 million in fiscal year 23. And while this sounds like a lot, and it is, it's important to know that more than 75% of this growth will occur in the current fiscal year as Metro's revenues normalize following the pandemic disruptions. As a result, fiscal year 23's total estimated true or natural or organic revenue growth is more in line with historical pre-COVID trends. More than 40% of the projected revenue growth is attributed to the local option sales tax revenue. Again, the combination of pent-up demand and stimulus funding coupled with inflated price levels has increased sales tax revenue receipts, and that is expected to continue. We expect 25% of revenue growth to be realized from a collection of smaller revenues. The remaining increase is attributed to property tax revenue. The largest single source of revenue is property tax. The property tax is levied based on the assessed value of the various types of property within the county. The property tax is going down in the proposed budget. Despite a lower rate, property tax growth is expected to be in line with recent performance. We continue to see growth in new construction, coupled with ongoing value appreciation and the influence of higher materials prices. Tennessee's property tax laws protects taxpayers against an automatic or arbitrary increase in their tax bills after a reappraisal, which you will remember occurred in 2021. And local governments are required to lower the tax rate to a level that will produce the same amount of revenue from the new appraisals as was generated from the old rate in appraisals. This is the certified tax rate. Given the pandemic and economic uncertainty at the time of the budget creation last year, as a measure of conservatism, the 2017 appeals level was used. Property owners are afforded the opportunity to appeal. While there are still appeals underway, Finance expects the appeals to be less than the allowance, which will trigger a recapture rate. This is due in large part to the fantastic job that Assessor Will Hoyt and her team have done in their work on the 2021 reappraisal, including bringing in an expert to assess COVID's impact on specific commercial property types. Appeals are expected to last until mid-May. Once final, the state will confirm our total appeals loss rate, and if necessary, a substitute tax levy ordinance will be introduced to account for a rate change, though it is not expected to be a material change. The preliminary certified recapture rate is the third lowest combined tax rate in the history of Metro government. And Nashville's property tax rates are currently the lowest of the 4 major Tennessee cities and competitive with those of surrounding communities. The local option sales tax collections provide the second largest source of revenue to the tax-supported funds proposed 23 budget. While there's been strong performance thus far in the current fiscal year, we are anticipating a reversion to slower growth in 2023. Fiscal year 2023 growth is expected to be a moderate 3%. Economists expect sales tax growth to slow due to the previously discussed changes in the economic landscape and inflation tapering, lowering price levels that are driving some of the growth we're seeing. As with prior years, we work with our partners at the NCVC to gain insights into hospitality industry trends, including conventions, hotel occupancy rates, and new rooms expected to come online, to craft a conservative revenue assumption. The 23 proposed budget contemplates a healthy growth of 14% over 22 budget for the hotel occupancy tax. The expectation for other revenues in the fiscal year 23 is that it will return to normal growth rates of between 2% and 6% for the majority of the sources. Tax-supported fund expenditures are directed to 3 places. The GSD and USD operating funds account for about half. Schools receives approximately 40%, with the remaining allocated to the GSD, USD, and schools-related debt service. Over the last decade, the increase in budgeted funds for education operations and debt service has increased over $500 million, or more than 70%, bringing the total proposed fiscal 23 budget to $1.23 billion, an almost $100 million increase from fiscal year 22 to 23. Schools funding is supplemented by the state's basic education program funding formula. Debt service funds account for the payment of principal and interest on general obligation bond issues and represents about 14% of the total 23 operating fund proposed budget. Debt service as a percentage of the operating budget is projected to be 13.85% within the council comfort level of below 15%. Our investments in Nashville's streets, schools, and parks requiring issuing bonds. We refinanced $628 million in general obligation bonds last year to take advantage of lower interest rates, resulting in savings of $60 million over the life of the bonds. With Council's approval, we recommend we get ahead of the looming interest rate increases and issue bonds now. The Federal Reserve is expected to deliver 3 back-to-back half-point interest rate hikes in May, June, and July, followed by quarter-point moves in the second half of the year. By issuing bonds now rather than waiting until next year, we expect that based on future market assumptions, Metro taxpayers would save an estimated $65 million over the life of the bonds. Kristen and Diego will go into detail regarding the initiatives proposed in the operating funds budget, but I will provide a quick high-level overview. The fiscal year 23 proposed budget includes $1.45 billion to fund Metro operations, a 13.7% increase over the 22 approved budget. Personnel expenditures are comprised of employee pay and benefits and pension allocation. Across all departments and city services, personnel-related expenditures make up the largest portion of the general operating funds, averaging 60% of expenditures over the last 10 years, making workforce costs a key factor in Metro's fiscal health. And I thank you for affording me the time to provide an update and overview today. As I move over to Kristen to highlight the initiatives, and you spend the next several weeks reviewing the budget and contemplating opportunities for adjustments, just some key takeaways and reminders I'd like you to consider during your deliberations. Please remember that we are in better shape, but we need to remain fiscally prudent. As you contemplate increasing expenditures, please be mindful of that impact on future budgets. As we all know, and I've articulated here again today, we are in a time of economic uncertainty, and we need to position Metro for the future.
Thank you, Kelly. Last year, at this time, we talked about a range of management challenges and opportunities that were before us. We noted ongoing struggles from demands from a growing city. The resourcing for our services was significantly lagging historical growth and demands and population in our county. We were a month out of a series of fiscal freezes to mitigate the pandemic impact and challenging historical financial position. While operating very efficient overall operations, in some cases, we were below minimal efficiency. We had backlogs of non-essential administration and infrastructure to address in almost all departments. Pandemic impacts requiring a series of changes to our operating and services delivery models to maintain safety for our employees and the public we serve were critical. All emergencies shine a light on where you're most fragile, whether from a safety net and an equity perspective, which we have seen nationwide and locally with respect to our increasing needs in housing, homelessness, and services, or operationally where we were fragile. In crisis, we had developed new capacity for innovation and change to support our organization in areas such as automation, e-filing, virtual inspections, and kiosks. We've been carrying these forward. Significant interagency collaboration and community-based effort were in place due to all of our emergencies. New constellations had formed of public agencies, private entities, and individuals, demonstrating the strength that we have in partnership. Last, and most importantly, we were and still are proud of our employees. We had demonstrated the commitment and dedication of our leadership and our employees to this community through a series of emergencies and managing our way through the pandemic. Next slide. As we've entered FY23, the impacts of many of these have persisted, and we've added to them. We've increased funding for departments in FY22 meaningfully, helping restore funding for staff to, in many cases, pre-recession and pre-freeze levels in departments and making investments responsive to our growth. Thank you to Council for your partnership in making these needed investments in our core operations and especially in our employees, who saw significant recognition in their pay through a historic high pay plan, COLA, an unprecedented double step and other merit increases, and in the replenishment of equipment, materials, and supplies they use day in and day out to do their jobs. However, execution on this funding has been more challenging than we expected. These have occurred in difficult hiring and staffing environments. Our vacancy rates in many departments are at significant highs, particularly in departments that have frontline roles. Our Civil Service Commission and departments have been responsive, adjusting our hiring process and entry points for many roles in core departments that struggle to bring on resources. Compensation adjustments and bonuses will help us be more competitive as proposed in the pay plan, but we're also very engaged in management discussions and promotion of employee programs that address health, wellness, and burnout. Supply chain challenges have impacted delivery of everything from paper to the Election Commission, for those of you who are looking for your blue cards, to fleet for our emergency and trash services. We have diversified suppliers, realigned and insourced work, increased communication with our vendors, ordered in advance, in many cases with the support of Council, and thank you very much for funding in advance orders, especially in our fleet, and once again stretched much of our equipment further to its limits. Inflation, rising interest rates, and costs are compounding these challenges, and in particular, as you move through our proposed budget investments, you'll find that many of our investments are responsive to inflation. Kelly mentioned our debt issuance acceleration already as a result of rising inflation rates, but also our investments in both Metro and MMPS pay plans and contractual increases, continuity of service, are taking a very meaningful proportion of our total investments. Two examples just to illustrate what the challenges are of managing right now through this period of time. In codes, Metro Codes issued more building permits in 2021 than in its history. Over $5 billion of valuation in buildings. The demand placed on Metro employees to administer the processes necessary to protect the safety, health, and environmental conditions of our community has increased significantly over the last decade. Staffing has only increased nominally until last year's requested investment, and the review process has been constrained. Both through strong management and outside review, we've optimized every aspect of the process, constantly seeking ways to be more efficient and manage expectations. One management analysis noticed that we were losing hundreds of hours getting inspectors paired up with cars as they turned over and as fleet outages were occurring. And so we changed the process, and in partnership with General Services and the Council, fully funded last year a new fleet rental program that has cut building inspection turnaround times down from 1 week to service within 3 days for 95% of building inspections. The Development Services Center had people lining up at 6 a.m. at a queue that was hours long. Technology and innovation has shifted this to an appointment system. Other such improvements have helped manage the workload, but burnout is a key concern of the management team, and consider their team some of the most dedicated staff we have in any Metro department. Efforts to promote recognition, thank you. We see you, we appreciate you and what you're doing are ongoing, but they're all watching this process, aware that their request for a meaningful staffing increase and a related fee increase on developers to cover the costs are under proposal in this budget. Another example, for fire and EMS, our emergency response agencies live and breathe by our response times because they make the difference between life and death. Despite meaningful investments to right-size our EMS personnel last year, rising incidents have stretched us tremendously. Strong management and a dedicated employee base have kept our response times flat, as you can see here in the chart, but we're nearing a breaking point anew. Industry standard metrics point to significant overutilization. In the first calendar quarter of 22 alone, we were between 75% and 79% overutilized in our EMS units. Let me tell you what that looks like. We end up relying on our fire companies to respond, who are cross-trained to provide paramedic services. They stabilize the patient. Then an EMS unit comes and transports to the hospital. As soon as that transfer is over for that EMS unit, they're running back to the next transport. What's your ETA time to get back in service is a constant question. There's no downtime and turnaround, which is often needed to decompress from the trauma of working trauma. Our Metro Nashville Fire Department management is attuned to burnout, ensuring that we are not compromising quality in any way, keeping those services flowing and efficient. They've ensured needed coverage with our firefighters. To keep employees motivated, they're rotating them through new forms of training and development, such as the Tennessee Heart Program. They maintain a family-oriented culture and look out for signs of stress and concern. Their peer support program is simply incredible in these hard times. And the resources that council is committed to them, whether via ARPA or supplementals, are a meaningful sign to our employees that they're valued. Further, there's a lot of creativity now from the pandemic and technology. The department's innovating on training with remote technology, which prevents them from pulling in units as often and keeps service levels more manageable. As Codes and Fire have illustrated, these challenges and opportunities ultimately have pushed us into new territory. In order to meet the fundamentals of service delivery, our general government operations now have to manage in new ways, anticipating uncertainties, relying on partners, responding to concerns outside of a traditional definition, and becoming more equitable to respond to. And before us, a lot of our government agencies are actually undergoing transformations to meet these requirements and expectations. Fire is now an all-hazards department. Police are seeing their role as part of a more holistic community problem-solving agency. Planning is moving from community administration to shaping our city through design, development, and enforcement. Health is engaging in social determinants and becoming a national leader on behavioral health and the opioid response. HR is shaping cultural fundamentals around safety and equity. I could go on. But Metro government's becoming stronger and a better government because of these challenges. We have a lot of work to do still, but we're grateful for the partnerships we have with council and with the broader community who are pushing us every day to be more innovative and more resourceful. Last year, we made important investments in our Metro operations. This year's budget continues and builds on those investments. Consistent investment in those things that matter most support a better and stronger government and city. We recognize that these priorities must be balanced by the costs of and the financial capacity for doing so. 1 year's resources will not ever cover all our needs. This includes understanding and considering the cost of services delivered to our residents and visitors in the context of rising inflation and evaluating them against the impact. Building a budget is a significant optimization exercise, trading off needs, priorities, costs, and benefits. Principles we use to guide our investments decisions this year, as the mayor elaborated in his State of Metro, included investing in our children's future and keeping our neighborhoods safe, seeking opportunities to use our growth to further a city that works for everyone, ensuring continuity of and improvements to fundamental municipal services, and advancing the performance and equity of our government with our investments. We recognize that these investments raise expectations of performance. And so now for further details both on the investments and what we believe taxpayers will be receiving for them, please allow me to introduce Diego Egarte, Director, you can be President too, of our Office of Performance Management to provide further details of these investments. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. As she mentioned, I'm going to be going over details and performance metrics for what's included in our proposal for fiscal year 23. Starting with education. Let's start talking about another record year for education investments. Our proposal regarding MMPS includes continuity of service as requested by MMPS. It's proposed to be fully funded using about half of the additional $91.2 million. A 4% COLA and STEPS investment for right over $31 million. $10.4 million to implement the support pay study for bus drivers, paraprofessionals, and nutrition, and $4.7 for paid family leave. In addition to our investments in MMPS, we're also proposing $3.6 million new investments in libraries, a 10% year over year in their operating budget, which include $1.4 million for the NASA summer programming, with a total of 1,100 slots to be targeted for June 2023. We're also proposing $500,000 for a Nashville grad program with Nashville State, and we're creating a $350,000 fund for education, research, and support. For community safety, as stated on Wednesday by Mayor Cooper, we're making Nashville a safer community by investing in more first responders, targeted strategies, and innovative approaches. Our objectives for this year budget proposal are as follows. Meet increasing demand for services while maintaining or improving our response times within best practices ranges. We've seen demand increases for all of our emergency responses. EMS, fire, MMPD, and DUC all fared these increases with limited staff, pushing them to the limit, a risk we do not intend to take. As our mission is to keep Nashvillians safe, we saw these increases. Our first responders maintained the responses times within acceptable ranges throughout the year, but we know that it's not sustainable. We must respond to their request for additional personnel to keep us and them safe. Addressing crime rate increases, we're addressing this the nationwide problem, with our increasingly recognized local ingenuity, using technology and targeted programming to specifically reduce areas of concern, as well as investing in non-law enforcement solutions such as behavioral health, mental health, violence interruption, and the Office of Family Safety. We are aware of the alarming trends for some of the specific types of crime, such as gun violence, property crimes, auto thefts, etc., and therefore we are proposing specific investments, policies, and initiatives that we believe will address those challenges head on. Fortunately, as we monitor our operations across Metro, we've also seen incredible success stories. For some of our newer programs, such as Partners in Care, in case you missed it on Wednesday, the arrest rate for Partners in Care is just 3.8% in the first months of their operation. We've seen how Ron Johnson and his team continue to build their village, and together with OPM, we will help him monitor and report on the outcomes resulting from their efforts. Please allow me to share some specific examples of the investments we're proposing to meet these objectives. We're fully staffing the 9th precinct with 46 officers, which is about half of the additional $9 million going to MMPD. An additional $1 million for police recruitment bonus program. EMS would receive 5 additional medic units for around $3.5 million. We're adding 40 dispatchers to DEC for around $3 million. For fire suppression, we are proposing 31 firefighters to be fully staffed and compliant with NFPA 1710 standards for around $2.7 million. Additionally, we're investing over $1 million in medical and safety supplies to address the increase of static units in service. That's for 10 ambulances and 5 fast cars. For body-worn cameras, we're investing another $1.7 million that include 9 FTEs, expanding our capacity for both body-worn and in-car camera programs. Behavioral health crisis response and Partners in Care programs with a $1.1 million investment to expand into 2 additional precincts, Central and South. For supporting the same program, we're investing additional $350,000 in the mental health department and the Metro Health Department. $578,000 to add new mental health court under the direction of Judge Blackburn in the Mayor's office. We're investing over $700,000 on adding 8 specialists to the tactical and strategic crime analysis team, boosting our capabilities for analyzing trends and work diligently on reducing crime rates and improving clearing rates, as well with better evidence processing on the CSI tech advancements. We're investing additional $340,000 in the Office of Family Safety for crisis advocates, including bilingual services, funding Voices Committee, a grant program administrator, and additional administrative adjustments. The COB will receive $440,000 to fund 4 new FTEs, including 2 additional investigators. This year's investment in COB would result in a 29% increase year over year. The list continues on and on, full of thoughtful and intentional selected investments that will help us accomplish our community safety goals. Let me show you a couple of additional metrics as a sample of what we are monitoring at OPM to help putting together this proposed budget. As Kristen mentioned, our EMS teams have seen an increase in average monthly medical incidents. We identified a 145% jump compared to the same month in fiscal year 20. During the same period, the average incident time has been maintained within 50-minute range, showing minimal variance. That's actually for more than 3 years now, meaning that these units have been managed to remain consistent and ready to service the next call under 1-hour time limit, despite the dramatic increase in demand. Another example would be the Office of Family Safety, who has managed to increase the average monthly assessments of identification and intervention for high-risk victims by 11% year over year, nearing almost 1,500 assessments a month, and a total of 11,500 cases year to date. Affordable housing. As we continue to address the inventory issues and the conditions of it, we're proposing to significantly invest in this area once again. Our proposal is the largest housing investment in Nashville's history. For us to successfully implement and execute on our affordable housing efforts, we're expanding our operating management and planning capabilities, making affordable housing central to everything we do when planning for and rezoning our neighborhoods. Therefore, we're doubling down on our new division of housing with 2 new staff roles for a total of 6. It's triple the housing staff in previous administrations. This brings key capacity additions to address pressing challenges that our residents face. The staff will be instrumental in implementing all the new tools and programs that will help the housing division creatively address the challenges in Nashville's affordable housing market pressures. To continue to grow our inventory, we're expanding Metro's funding to go into the Barnes Fund to $15 million. We will also be implementing multiple tools additional to Barnes Fund as recommended by the task force. Outside of the efforts funded as part of the operating budget proposal, we will continue to support the work of the Housing Division as they institute county's first Catalyst Fund, administer the newly available payment in lieu of taxes program and participation agreements. By the end of the summer, we will also see the launch of the Unified Housing Strategy, the Resident Housing Portal, and the public-facing housing dashboards to track our progress. We will continue to capitalize on opportunities available to leverage non-metro resources as well, looking to enhance the impact of every dollar we invest in this priority. Combined with designated ARP funds, we will triple the investment in affordable housing this year. Here are some quite impressive figures related to the leverage applied by the Housing Division. In fiscal year 21, 9.4 million were granted for 425 income restricted units with a leverage ratio of 12 to 1. Another data point, 16.5 million granted in fiscal year 22, which included 848 income restricted units with a ratio of 11 to 1. They're stretching our dollars pretty neatly. The combination of specialized staffing, strategic investments, community participation, and the expansion of our toolkit, we are confident that our funding proposal for affordable housing will deliver the results that Nashville needs. Again, there's $20 million in our operating budget. That includes 15 for the Barnes Fund, $2 million for strategy implementation, $300,000 for programs, including housing incentive and VASH, $3 million for mixed income pilot, and another $2.5 million for continued MDHA pilot. Note that those two are contra revenue. For addressing homelessness, there's $50 million funded by the American Rescue Plan, and our plan will be presented to the committee in June. This will be dedicated to homelessness, although stakeholders are still working really hard to refine the details of how these funds will be specifically deployed. Here's a rough draft of how it all breaks down. Most of these items are planned to be deployed over a 3-year phase period. $25 million to go towards adding new affordable housing units through coordinated entry for very low income, 30 to 50% AMI. And set aside in developments for PSH, our permanent supportive housing vouchers, including, but not limited to, COC, Section 8, VASH, and HOPWA. HOPWA. I didn't know exactly what to go with that, but a large percentage will be used to provide low-cost loans to developers with transactions that are unable to close due to financing gap, whether it is because of construction cost increases, insurance increases, or changes in originally sufficient financial commitments prior to closing. This amount will also allow us to commit additional funding release this competitive grant program for small landlords to bring units to use for to house quality standards. Successful applicants will agree to set aside funded units to use for our PSH. $9 million for Housing First Supportive Services, another $9 million for low barrier gap housing, which is temporary housing for individuals and families as they look for housing units and or await permanent housing subsidy. $3 million to build capacity of the low barrier housing collective, the housing incentive, the landlord engagement, housing navigators to increase landlord participation and rotation on the programs. And $4 million for competitive grant funds for local nonprofits that without their support, we would not be able to deliver in this ambitious plan. There's also additional staff for our MHID division, 92% increase in staff and positions in the last 2 years. As street-level homelessness is increasing, the proposed positions for street outreach will allow support in all 4 quadrants of the city. This will allow for seamless partnership with MMPD, coordinated outreach efforts for service providers, and offer encampment support by coordinating with other Metro departments' service delivery needs. There are 1,916 people identified as experiencing homelessness by January 27. 12% of unsheltered people identified that COVID-19 was the main reason for this episode of homelessness. This is information based on the PID counts for 2022. The proposed positions for coordinated entry are currently grant funded and assist our community in aligning with HUD and national best practices for identified process for coordinated entry into our HMIS database. These community-based positions will engage participants in shelters, Nashville Rescue Mission, Room in the Inn, libraries, hospitals, and provide connection to the necessary resources and services for securing housing. Here are a couple of interesting data points resulting from our monitoring of MHIT's performance. The coordinated entry is essentially on par with the highest it has ever been before the pandemic. This particular effort has seen a phenomenal rebound, averaging 268 entries a month, which is a year-over-year increase of 18%. We are focused on improving our performance related to chronic homelessness, no doubt a priority for our efforts in this coming year using tools such as the PSH. Through Hub Nashville, we've seen increasing rates of homelessness-related concerns or complaints. This year, we're averaging 2.3 times the monthly number of reports compared to fiscal year 20. Validating the information we analyze from other sources indicating the growing concern by the public in this subject. This is how we utilize data at OPM to inform and help our decisions and proposals based on evidence and direct public feedback. We're almost there. Core services. For waste services, we are proposing additional $10 million to take care of 2 new contracts and additional equipment to mitigate operational risks. The instability of the current contractual environment, anticipated rate increases, and 2 new contracts require significant investment. We've had some staffing challenges with waste services that have been resolved. Currently, we have 123 employees working with waste services. There's only 14 openings. Vacancy rate is down to 5 to 7%. With a nearly fully staffed division and the appropriate levels of investment, we're confident that we will continue to see improvements in our services in this area. As we will continue to roll out OPM's customer satisfaction surveys, we will use this tool, among others, to monitor the effects of these investments in the public's perception of service quality. Missed pickups back to pre-crisis levels. During February, we had over 6,000 reported misses through Hub Nashville, and within 30 days, that number came back down to under 1,000. With the addition of contracted vendors, we're able to make sure that the services are picked up in a timely manner and on the scheduled days. Please note that we're still working to assist Red River with catching up on the backdoor customers. Improving waste services technology. OPM is supporting the waste division with the assessment of new technology for tracking trash pickup, tracking for vehicles, upgrades at the convenience centers, safety upgrades, better and more training. All improvements that, when implemented, will allow us to catch up with best-in-class tools to keep solid waste and recycling services working effectively and efficiently. For cleaner streets, in our proposed budget, you will find $2 million for right-of-way litter removal to keep Metro-maintained roadways litter-free. An additional $750,000 for street sweeping on top of the downtown and bike lanes' current responsibilities. $100,000 for bike waste litter removal. For our monitoring of litter requests to Hub Nashville, we're completing this request in 4.1 days on average. Potholes. On average time, our average time to resolve pothole work orders in Hub Nashville is now under 3 days. Our latest report indicates that this has been consistently marking right at 2.5 days. This is a remarkable success story of performance improvement. When we started tracking this metric a couple years ago, the turnaround time for this service was marking well over 7 days. Even when compared to last year, we reduced the turnaround time from 3.5 to 2.5 days, all while demand continues to rise. Therefore, additional investments for both better technology and equipment, as well as the right amount of personnel to address opportunities like this, are smart investments for Nashvilleians. These are just a few examples of the areas that we know are of high importance to our constituents, and our technical experts have signaled the need for prioritization. For MTA, our MTA annual subsidy, we're proposing an increase, increasing it year over year by an additional $10.7 million, to go all the way to 62.6. Part of the budget goals is to sustain current service levels, maintaining the state of good repair with respect to the existing physical assets, and advancing service improvements throughout the year. The MTA plans to use 6.8 of those funds to address general inflation with their current operations, and to fund better bus service expansion. As mentioned on Wednesday, there's a 7% increase in service this year. Additional $3.9 million to cover 9 months of the next phase of the better bus service expansion. This phase of service improvements would amount to an 8% increase in service hours. For NDOT, we're proposing new investments in multiple areas for continuing and appropriate staffing levels. Our investments include $1.3 million for signature and pavement markings. Adding a crew dedicated to this will result also in capital savings. Additional staffing to provide oversight and engineering services, support for NDOT's lighting program. Our proposed investments specifically focused on sidewalks will include $430,000 for additional staff, increasing our ability to repair sidewalks and gaps. Additional staff to conduct paving construction inspections. In-house inspectors would reduce current costs up to 20% for outside consultants. Additional staff to enhance NDOT's GIS mapping capabilities with 4 FTEs for $450,000. The investment specifically focused on Vision Zero would be right-of-way alley maintenance crew, 4 FTEs for $250K. Adding a crew will allow to add extra focus on those areas and complaints which are often in disadvantaged areas. This will also improve quality of life and implement portions of Vision Zero through ensuring safe passage through alleyways. Transportation design and development services, there's 3 FTEs and $350K. Positions focus on deploying the guiding principles and themes of NDOT's Vision Zero plan through traffic safety and other related projects. 4 additional FTEs for $320,000 for expanding staff services for regulation and compliance related to the shared urban mobility devices and transportainment as required by legislation. Implements also Vision Zero by regulating safe curbside use. Other core services that we're proposing significant investments for are the Nashville Fairgrounds with $1.1 million for startup costs to revitalize the fairgrounds and bring the Nashville Fair back. This investment will help the event and venue get back on their feet, with the objective of the event becoming self-sustained in the coming years. Additional $475,000 for Metro Arts Commission to increase arts and cultural and nonprofit operating support grants. 100% of this funds will be invested in Nashville arts nonprofits. For development services, the MGT study identified a need for 81 new positions to be created across several departments responsible for providing development services. Let me walk you through where the majority of this will be allocated. Starting with recommendation of 13 FTEs for the fire marshal, increasing staffing by 9 inspectors, 2 arson investigators, and 1 administrative officer, 1 financial analyst. All this for $1.7 million. For planning, we're following a recommended 19 FTE allocation for project teams and neighborhood planning, case reviews, and zoning inspections for $2.1 million. We're also proposing 35 additional FTEs for the codes department for a total of $1.7 million as recommended to improve customer services. These positions include administrative officers for use and occupancy, building inspectors, plan examiners, zone examiners, 3 urban foresters, program managers, engineers, property standards, inspector chief, among a few other positions. Another investment to show our commitment to be customer focused and make sure that Metro customer satisfaction is a priority. The water department is also adding 26 new positions in order to continue to improve customer service and address water treatment, fleet, lab roles, human resources, wastewater, stormwater, waste services, etc. The total proposed investment for water is $23.4 million. A quick sample of how we're measuring progress in a few of these areas. For WeGo, where average monthly ridership has recovered 75% of FY20 levels, so pre-pandemic. While their goal of 90% of trips being completed on time has remained within range for all 3 years in a row. Another example would be Hub Nashville. It received over 17,000 at the time that I was putting together this presentation. This morning, it was 21,000 requests for this month alone, ranging from public safety concerns, 8,600 reports, property violations, potholes, sidewalk reports, etc. Over 50% of these requests are resolved by Hub on the first call or touch point, meaning that constituents do not have to navigate any farther to resolve their concerns. Not only Hub has been incredible growth in utilization rate, but Hub has managed to be increasingly effective one-stop solution for Nashvillians. It takes the Hub an average of 5 days to resolve all requests, meaning that we're closing work orders in a much more efficient time frame than ever before. It's worth mentioning the proposed additions to have multilingual operators in Hub for this coming year. Sustainability.
We were close.
We are close. 500,000 trees to be planted by 2050. This is an amazing commitment that will require consistent investment and creative solutions. This last year, we planted 3 times compared to 2018 with over 9,000 trees. We're recommending $1.5 million for the tree canopy fund to continue to chip away from our 2050 objective. Please take some time to check out recently released sustainability dashboards on nashville.gov We're monitoring the multiple areas of investment related to environmental efforts, such as trails and greenways, water and wastewater, lead and energy saving efforts, collaboration with MMPS for environmental impact tracking, also with WeGo solid waste, bikeways, and sidewalks. Parks will receive $4.8 million in new investments, resulting in a 10% year-over-year for their operating budget. Adding 5 positions to staff the greenways and open space divisions in parks. This $550,000 investment will significantly increase our capacity for managing, maintaining, and expanding our greenways network and open spaces. Park Police Greenways Patrol, a $1 million investment including 14 officers that will be dedicated to keep our greenways safe. As we continue to grow our network, keeping this safe is a high priority for the administration. 4 positions added to the planning division to help advance capital projects and parks more effectively and deliver on the record investments we've made in this area. $400,000 allocated to cover new positions needed for facility maintenance and repairs, as well as including funding to cover inflation costs and goods and services to maintain parks. We're opening Mill Ridge and Ravenwood parks. Both locations will be high-use parks and will require 7-day-a-week service for trash and restrooms with weekly mowing, requiring us to invest additional $270,000 to accomplish that. There are a few other contractual increases for parks as well that are covered by smaller allocations. Quick sample of how we're measuring our progress in the area of sustainability. Currently, 63% of WeGo fleet is on clean alternative fuels or is electric. As mentioned previously, we went from 3,000 trees in 2018 and to 9,000 trees this last year for our Route Nashville campaign. Our Parks Department manages and maintains more than 15,000 acres, and we continue to add more. And we're very close to break the 100 miles threshold for our greenways network. On the recycling front, we have seen a reduction in contamination rate for curbside recycling, a product of outreach efforts by the department, bringing it under 30%. We had not seen those levels since 2018. Interestingly, the pandemic seemed to have pushed the rate of discontamination rate to an alarming 46% in the middle of 2020. Pay plan. Last year, our budget proposed 3% COLA and 2-step raises to catch up with prior underinvestment. Our budget proposal this year is proposing a 4% COLA, along with merit increases, with an average of about 3%. Combined, most employees can expect to receive a 7% pay increase that helps keep pace with inflation. We're also proposing significant pay adjustments to critical roles throughout our organization, including establishing an $18 an hour minimum wage for full-time positions. This $18 an hour rate exceeds the recommended living wage for Davidson County. Where can you find more about this investment and metrics? If you would like to find more about it, please visit our site, and the mayor's site of OPM has a page with all the dashboards that includes the metrics that I mentioned and many more. You can also find OPM collaborations with department-specific websites and a lot of their dashboards we've been working with. How can you participate in forming this process and future engagements? A great way to do that will be helping us responding our customer satisfaction surveys. We're piloting an initiative with sample of services offered by Metro. These are designed to have constant pulse and public perception of the quality of our service delivery. We're actively using these responses and feedback to act on process improvement strategies as well as informing our budgeting decisions. Your opinion will help us understand the opportunities for improvement as well as changes in satisfaction driven by the investment and policies that we roll out. As part of this administration's strong commitment to ensure that equity lens is applied to all decisions, our Office of Performance Management has worked in coordination with DEI team on ideation and design of tools that will help analyzing both operating performance and equitable investment practices. I am very excited to introduce you to our next presenter, Andrea Blackman, Chief DEI. I have no doubt that you will be as proud as we are of the great progress already made by their fantastic team. The partnership between OPM and DEI will be critical to provide Metro decision makers with objective and factual information to drive better policy design, legislation, and management practices. Together, we will continue to work hard to provide you all with data, tools, and support all of us to be more effective public servants. Thank you for your time and patience, and I look forward to working with you all in the coming weeks to see this budget move forward.
going to be easy for you, Diego. 5 slides. 5 slides. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Diego, and thank you, Kristen and Kelly. As has been mentioned already, this year, for our fiscal 2023 fiscal year, equity has acted as one of our guiding principles for this year's equity budget process. The first time we've deliberately looked at equity specifically for every department, line by line, to assure that we have a common language. So when I'm speaking of the word equity, just to make sure we're all clear, equity is the acknowledgement and the addressment of past and present structural inequities that advantage some and disadvantage others. And this year, we asked each department to consider how their investment requests, as well as their current operations, their current practices, furthered equity for Metro's residents and employees. To facilitate this process, our office we created Metro's first ever budget equity tool. We're pretty proud of it. We're behind other cities, but we're pretty proud of it. Too often, we have developed programs and policies without any thought to racial or social equity. This tool has helped us bring to consciousness our decision-making process, explicitly help us with our goals, how we engage our decision-making, who carries the burden, and how we decide our city is to become more equitable. Next slide. Actually, next slide. I'm ahead of the game. As part of Metro's Budget 101 series, we were able to introduce this tool, how it was developed, its components, its resources, and how we would make this tool available to every department. It was our intent from the beginning to make sure that equity is normalized in how we do business every day. By integrating this tool into our process and eventually making it routine, we are moving our city toward progress to becoming more equitable. Our tool consisted of 3 simple strategies. The first was to make sure that we adopt an equity lens. The second was to make sure that we were data-driven. And the third was to promote assessment and accountability. With each of these strategies were a set of questions. A copy of the tool can be found on the finances page, nashville.gov. Now, we created this tool, but we do understand it was not a one-of-a-kind tool. Municipalities across the country have been utilizing budget equity tools for years. Cities such as Dallas, San Antonio, Madison, Seattle, and Portland. So our office decided that we would analyze their tools, consult with them on best practices, and figure out how we would be more efficient and integrate Metro's budget process. In our findings, and after meeting with several of our peer cities, those cities who are leading in not only implementing a budget equity tool, but also racial and social equity tools, we gleaned a few lessons, and if you would allow me, I would love to share some of those lessons learned. From Portland, we learned that before we even begin launching a budget equity tool, make sure that you have adequate trained staff and enough time built in. And I'm happy to say that our staff of 3 dedicated over 300 hours to make sure that this process went through. We also made sure that we had a staff who understood what DEI implementation mean, and also combined with data aggregation. So Michelle Boudreau and Sneh Patel, and also with Diego's team, worked closely together to make sure that we were going to execute an efficient plan on the first go-round. Portland also made sure that before you launch a budget equity tool, make sure that you had the eye of the mayor and the finance director. And I'm happy to tell you that we were at the table of the entire process. So thank you both to Kristen and Kelly to making sure that our staff was present from beginning to end of this process. Seattle reminded us, as you are launching a budget equity tool, make sure that you begin to think what is next beyond the tool, what's beyond asking our department heads to think with an equitable lens. So we've started to analyze and formulate questions such as, after the tool is done, what will change? Will our departments plan differently? Will they operate differently? Will our city move toward being transformational and not transactional? These are the questions that we hope to address over the next 3 months. Next slide. Within the overarching reach of incorporating equity into the budget process, our office had a few specific goals that we wanted to achieve. We wanted to make sure that department heads and our city leaders understood what operating with an equity lens meant. We also wanted to make sure that they understood how important this is to deliver Metro services. One of the perpetuating myths when you think about DEI initiatives is that they exist in a false dichotomy of best practices, efficiency, and quality of service. We wanted to make sure our tool debunked all of that. Our tool was designed to make sure that every department head was able to articulate what what role they would play in advancing equity throughout Metro. For many of our departments, they already understood their directive, their purpose, and their mission is solely designed to make sure they address and provide services for the underserved and also the marginalized in our communities. While other departments struggled with their identity and understanding how to create their mission from the framework that we were asking them to do. Through the tool, we were able to identify some existing practices and internal resources, as Diego alluded to earlier, so that how we can help our department heads plan and move ahead. For any equity goal to be realized, there had to be structure, there has to be knowledge, and there has to be resources to support them. We asked each department to speak on what they saw as barriers and limitations, whether it was current operating budget, staffing needs, lack of knowledge, how to implement strategies, do they staff even understand what equity means? For some of the investment requests, there were specific budget modifications that addressed these shortfalls. And finally, we wanted to make sure that our tool would be successful and how we would measure successes. Next slide. We approach our assessment of the budget equity tool for fiscal year 2023 in two ways. First, we wanted to make sure that our departments were prepared. Each individual department that submitted a tool received an evaluation of their responses. We asked questions, we asked for clarification. We also identified how our office could support them, how our office could be a resource, how we could help them achieve their equity goals. Each department received their assessment in advance of their budget meeting with the mayor's office. We also had time to spend with them. Again, I can't emphasize, over 300 hours was spent making sure that our department leaders were able to execute and utilize this tool. In terms of an overarching assessment of the budgeting tool, we and everyone has asked, how did Metro do? How did we fare in our first year of implementing a budget equity tool? I can tell you that all of the departments wholeheartedly were eager to actually respond to this. Departments that we've worked with throughout this year, other cities told us that they had a 33 to 39% completion rate in their first year of implementing a budget equity tool. I'm happy to report to you that we had 94% completion rate in our first year, and we should be very proud of that. It should also be noted that there were departments who didn't submit any budget requests, but they still took time to create questions and responded as it relates to how they are going to promote equity within their department. Over a 2-week period, our staff worked with 15 specific departments, making sure that they understood their budget modifications and equity justifications. So in terms, we did ask for feedback, and our department heads and our leaders were honest, and we needed that honesty. It's our goal to make sure that this tool also remains transparent. Questions that came up, we found out that the nature of the very investments, how do we look at rent increases, increased cost of resources, mandates for salary and COLA, how do we justify that with equity, with an equitable lens, line by line? Some departments also said that they found the questions to be difficult and they needed a little bit more assistance with that. And we anticipated that. We didn't design the questions to be something that we could just check off as a city. Some departments also felt that they wanted to assure that their mission, state, federal regulations, that even if they didn't provide services outward facing, how would they utilize our recommendations to make our city more equitable? However, most all of our departments understood the importance of this budget equity tool. They understood the importance and they understand the priority that the city has set forth in creating a more equitable Nashville. Moving forward, the tool and the budget process, our department, we are now looking at a larger analysis and responses to 2 ways. We're looking for the common themes that our departments gave us, creating new strategies, and how we can continue to partner with other departments to make our city more equitable. As we emphasize in the training for this tool, we have taken full responsibility of making sure that our department leaders and our cities are held accountable to how we each implement with a more equitable lens. And one last thing I will say. The most important lesson that I think we've learned this year in implementing the budget equity tool is the importance of having a culture and a support network for initiatives like this to be successful. I would also like to thank our mayor's office, particularly Kristen, and I cannot say we would not have been able to do this without the direction direction of our finance director, and a huge thank you to the OMB team who were instrumental in making sure that we implemented technically, structural, and institutionally while they were carrying their own load. And I also want to thank all of the department heads. Again, other cities around the country, in year one, 33% return. Our first year, we should be proud of ourselves with a 94% completion rate. It speaks to how our city leaders and our department heads are committed to moving equity forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the finance team? I will, on behalf of the council, thank y'all for the presentation. This is a lot to digest. We have time for a few questions, and I'm sure, and I will recognize people as I saw those hands pop up. If we don't get to all the questions, please direct written questions to Margaret, and she will get responses that will be on the SharePoint, and I will send the link to the SharePoint out on a regular basis so that people will be able to access that. So. I saw every hand in the room pop up, I think. So let me start with Councilmember Van Rees, and then I'll try to do the four that I saw. So Councilmember Van Rees, you're recognized.
Thank you very much. Last year, the arts folks got $2.4 million in arts grants distributed. I know that you indicated $475,000. Just wanting to make sure that's an increase to 2.875.
Thank you. Yes, we've worked, there's several different grant buckets, right? And so they requested the Thrive grant bucket is increasing by $75,000, and that's neighborhood projects and capacity. And then the overall cultural institutions grant bucket is increasing up to $3 million a year annually. So that's an increase to get them to a $3 million annual grant.
Thank you very much. Also, on the positions, I know that they'd asked for two positions, a equity and restorative practice coordinator and a data projects coordinator. Were those also included?
One of the two positions where most departments you're going to find we partially funded the positions. We also have a number of work path forward on the DEI topic. I don't know if there's further you want to say about that, Andrea, but in collaboration with the department, we're hoping to shape that second role and articulate it a little bit strongly through work from the DEI team.
So you said one of the two. So the restorative practice coordinator has been funded?
Which was a higher priority role articulated by the department.
That's my job to double check on that.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Happy for checking. Councilmember Nash.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for everybody from the Finance Department for a great presentation. Director Diego, your PowerPoint was a great PowerPoint, kind of high level, and your presentation was much more granular. Any chance we can get a copy of your script?
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you'd email it, maybe a Word document or something, I don't know if you got it in.
Can we put that on the SharePoint? Would you be comfortable with that? That's accessible to all council members, so that's our plan.
So it could be anywhere, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a lot of good detail in there I'd like to have my hands on. Thank you.
And Councilmember Parker and then Councilmember Mendez. Councilmember Parker, let me find you. You're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just a quick note for Chair Allen. If we could please have all of the budget hearings and meetings pushed to our Outlook calendar.
Great idea.
So they're all populated for us there. And I had a question about sort of recruitment and retention and sort of the pay plan. The civil service recommended a 5%, and then in the budget is a 4% cost of living increase. And so, I want us to be competitive and be filling these positions and retaining talent. So, I mean, what is the justification for not meeting the civil service recommendation? And then what would it cost to meet the civil service recommendation with that additional percentage point?
I want to get back to you with exact numbers, so please don't hold me fully to this, but I believe across both MMPS and Metro, for us to reach a 5%, we're looking at more than $11 million required. The two differences in the Metro pay plan that was presented were the move from the 5% recommendation to 4%, and that was a funding question at the end of the day, and we were very transparent in the conversations with the Civil Service Commission about the fact that this was the biggest pay plan ever on top of the biggest pay plan ever last year by a substantial amount. What was very important to us was to make sure that we are addressing the roles and positions that honestly are at the lowest tiers of our pay. And so that is why the other change that's in this is moving to an $18 an hour minimum wage. That was not the recommendation in the pay plan that was passed by the Civil Service Commission. This is a difference from that as well.
And talking just the lowest tiers of pay in Metro, I mean, what's the, two questions on that. Why does the 18 only apply to full-time folks? And then do we still have that contract with industrial staffing that pays like $8 an hour to the people that work, that pick up work with us, like temp work for events and waste, solid waste and whatnot?
If you don't mind, I'm going to ask if I can get back to you
Okay,
on
I'll email
those,
you
on
details
those
about that
questions.
contract, yes.
I appreciate that. I'm not going to carry specific questions. I will say, across our contractual requirements, we have been reviewing our contracts and having conversations with our vendors, as I had referred to, around their operational stability. And there are several places where we are proactively rate increases in our contracts are a result of us raising the pay for the contract employees. And we've worked very carefully. A great example would be the sheriff's office with security. We're working very carefully to make sure that those increases are going to the employees and not to the overhead of the company.
Excellent.
That's our vendor. You've seen some of that in the trash challenges that we've had. We've been checking on our custodial vendor contracts as well, making sure that we have them also at minimums. And so there's work underway as we've done that, but I don't know that it's fully comprehensive and I don't have a full list. And so if you don't mind, I'd like to come back to you.
I'll send you an email. Thank you.
Councilmember Park, if you can copy Director Darby on that as well, then we'll be sure that answer ends up on the SharePoint.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much. Councilmember Mendez, and we'll finish with this question. And again, if you have other questions, please write them in to Director Darby, and we'll put those answers on the SharePoint.
So the first question is, when are we expected to get the actual budget ordinance?
The budget ordinance should be in your, where is Mr. As soon as Austin leaves this meeting, it will be in our email boxes.
All right. I'll complain for 20 seconds and then ask my question. Respectfully, this is the latest on detailed budget presentation I've seen. Like even the PowerPoint that was about the budget has got even a dollar sign on it on only 6 out of 30 pages. And certainly comparative to previous years, this is less a budget presentation and more how we went about it thing. And again, without having the ordinance and most of the slides not really having dollar amounts, I'm glad we're going to get the script at least, because there's we don't get to actually absorb it if I don't know why we're doing this. If we're not going to talk about numbers. Anyway, on to the question. How much of the $319 million in new revenue does the ordinance push toward increasing fund balance and/or I know there was a reserve set up a couple of years ago of maybe $5 million?
There's no additional money going from the 2023 proposed budget to fund balance. There is, as I mentioned, the 22 estimate, likely in the neighborhood, when all the revenue comes in December. So thanks for this question, because I can't say this enough. That money's not real yet, so we cannot spend it. But in December 2022, I would expect the neighborhood of another $200 million just from the conservative budget estimates versus revenue actuals, even net of all the, I think we did 5 supplementals. Net all of that, I think the expectation is an increase in fund balance for 22 in the neighborhood of $200 million.
And then 2 similar questions about other things. How much of the 319 is getting soaked up by the inflation costs you mentioned?
So if council approves the recommendation to move forward with the accelerated bond deal, that's $50 million in additional debt service that would have otherwise been in next year's budget. So I think you could attribute that all to inflation or the Fed tampering inflation. I don't know how you want to define it, but definitely that 50. And then salaries, I think that's the struggle, the 4 versus the 5. What component of that is inflationary versus just the cost of living adjustment, and how do you kind of quantify that? But
Well, so the question after this was going to be about increase in debt service, so thank you for that. And with the inflation, I guess I was thinking more about stuff and people costing more as opposed to the debt increase. I know it's a little squishy for the reason you just described, but generally, what's the scope of how much you think the 319 is? Again, I'm using
maybe I'll get back to you. I mean, there is a fair amount of new initiatives, but we can kind of back our way into a guesstimate, I think,
If it helps, if you take the 2 pay plans and then you take what we roughly tagged in our budget mods as contractual increases, you got to eyeball some of that because the departments labeled them and clean it up. 2/3 is the answer, sir.
Two-thirds is
between contractual increase, pay plans, and the debt service acceleration and the continuity of service budget that was presented by MMPS. If you add those up, that's rough, and I don't think that's, but that's a thumb in the air number, if that helps.
This is part of what I would have hoped to have seen in the presentation. Just adding up the numbers that the mayor announced the other day and the debt service and me making estimates of pay plan costs from previous years, I got to, 230, 240, 250, somewhere in there. And so I'm just hoping to connect the dots on the, I know in previous years there's been like a pie chart of where the new spending is going. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Sounds like work in progress.
And there will be multiple opportunities for discussion in the department hearings and the budget workshops. So I appreciate everyone coming. I appreciate Councilmember Parker's suggestion to put the rest of the dates in Outlook calendar, and we will do that. Please direct questions that you have to Director Darby, and those answers will show up on the SharePoint. We'll also frequently send you that link because I know it's hard to keep up with. With that, I appreciate all the department chairs that showed up and the finance department for being here and giving us I think a deep understanding of how we got to where we are, because that's important. We intend to be focusing on the details from here on out and look forward to seeing the numbers. So we are adjourned unless the Vice Mayor has anything to say. We are adjourned.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.